Welcome to Meet Your Neighbor, the podcast that highlights the people and stories that make Westbrook Village a truly exceptional community. I'm your host, Steve Marilla, local realtor, neighbor, and proud member of this vibrant community. Each episode, we sit down with residents to learn about their careers, life experiences, and what brought them to Westbrook Village. It's a chance to connect, share, and celebrate the unique journeys that shape our neighborhood. Thanks for tuning in. And now, let's meet your neighbor. This week, we welcome the remarkable Michelle McGee, a woman whose story is as powerful as it is inspiring. Born in Beirut, Lebanon, Michelle came to America in the 8th grade, landing in New Jersey with just 50 English words in her vocabulary. What she lacked in language, she made up for in determination. Michelle is a smart, strong woman who has built an incredible life through resilience, intelligence, and heart. You will not want to miss her journey. Now, let's meet your neighbor. Hello, Michelle.
Hi, Steve.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm super. I'm really excited you got in here.
Me too.
Yeah. So I know a little bit about you. I know you're an accountant, and I know you're an accountant from being annoyed with the pickleball scores not being correct. Did that bother you?
Yeah, they call me the score Nazi lady.
Yeah, because, well, and it's frustrating. We play pickleball together, and we're dealing with older people that can't hear, and it's hard to keep track because there's 3 numbers.
Well, and yeah, and if you have a really long rally, then you don't even remember who served.
You don't even remember who's serving. I mean, it does feel odd at times when we don't know the score or who's serving or who did this or that. It's it's a little bit. It might be a little bit to do with our age. Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah. So let's start with your story. Where would you like to start?
I'll tell you where I started. I was born in Beirut, Lebanon.
Okay.
In 1959. I'm not embarrassed to share that.
No.
Grew up in a beautiful city at the time.
Yep.
Beirut was called the Paris of the Middle East.
Yeah.
We were probably a good upper-end working-class family, but my mom stayed home and raised 5 kids. My dad worked.
Yeah.
And it was an idyllic childhood. Played in the streets. It was just very safe and happy and awesome. And
like you see in the movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there were winds of change in Lebanon happening.
Sure.
And by 1971, my father saw that, politically speaking, the Middle East was ready to blow up.
Sure.
So we were lucky. We had an aunt, my dad's sister, who had met an American in Beirut and fell in love, and 6 weeks later they got married.
Okay.
And came to America. So we had my aunt who lived in America. As soon as she became a citizen, started paperwork for us to immigrate.
Nice.
So we legally immigrated to New Jersey, to America in 1972.
Yeah.
Took my parents 2 years of paperwork and going to the Lebanese embassy, the American embassy in Beirut. 2 years of work and standing in lines, but we finally got the okay. And all 7 of us, I'm the oldest of 5 kids, so my mom and dad and 5 kids got on a plane and flew to America for the first time.
Oh, wow.
In 1972.
So you have a little New Jersey accent.
Yes. We landed in New Jersey. I always say I have a Jersey Lebanese accent because it's a little bit of Lebanon and a little bit of New Jersey. Yeah. That's
wonderful. You being the oldest child.
Yes.
You kind of have that kind of responsibility. You kind of still carry that. Did you take?
I did.
Were you the second mom?
Yeah, and interestingly enough, my parents didn't speak any English.
Okay.
My dad was 40. My mom was maybe 30. So, and they had never spoken any English. I came to 8th grade. They threw me at a Catholic school in New Jersey. 8th grade, I had 50 words of English I knew.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because in Lebanon, I had learned Arabic and French, and I was just beginning to learn English when we immigrated. So
Sure.
I knew like 50 vocabulary words.
And your siblings were the same?
Oh, yeah, even less.
Right. So did you speak the best out of everyone, probably?
Out of everyone in that family, I spoke the best with 50-word vocabulary. So, but this is one of my funny stories. So I started at St. Peter's Elementary School in 8th grade. They threw me in. I mean, I was smart. I in French and Arabic, no one could beat me.
Right.
I was just learning the English.
Yeah.
So I was trying really hard. I mean, I stuck out. I was in an Irish Catholic, school, elementary school.
Right.
I was the darkest person there. and I didn't speak hardly any English. So so one day I went up to the nun who was teaching us, and I said, Sister Maureen, I'm really confused. Can you help me? And she's like, yeah. I go, how can I be pretty and ugly at the same time? And she's like, what are you talking about? I go, the boys are saying that I'm pretty ugly. And she's like, no, Michelle, pretty and ugly are not opposites when they're put together. Pretty ugly means you're ugly.
You're ugly.
I was like, oh, I mean, it's kids.
Right,
and, but it was stuff like that. And so she said, you know what? I am going to give you a new assignment. She's like, you need to learn English. For the next 3 months, I don't want you to do any homework. I want you to go home after school every day, and I want you to watch TV. So it was like the best assignment ever.
Yeah, you're like, well, that's the problem with all the Americans that are here. That's all we do is watch TV.
Yeah. So from October, because I started in September, in October I was like overwhelmed.
Right.
No homework. From October till Christmas, every day. I Love Genie, Bewitched, F Troop, Get Smart. I mean, Batman. Yeah. I mean, I just watched everything. Well, by January, I was very good in English. I was speaking English as well as anybody because, I was absorbing. I was young, and that's how you learn. So come January, I knew what pretty ugly meant. Yeah. And those boys weren't going to say that to me anymore.
No. Did you, so two things. Did you get your siblings watching TV with you?
Yes,
and did you try and help them along?
I mean, everybody got placed in school. So I was the oldest of 5. And there's a 10 years difference between me and the youngest.
Sure.
So I was in 8th grade. Actually, she stayed at home a couple of years, and then she started. So yeah. No, they all did, and we all. My parents, my dad had a really good job in Lebanon. He was a kind of a general manager of a big restaurant bar that was pretty famous. In Beirut. And actually, that's what helped because he started seeing people negotiating arms deals and stuff. And he's like, the country's getting ready for war. We're going to get out. And
that is crazy.
So, but being that they didn't speak English, and my mom never worked, but again, being that they didn't speak English, when we got here and they had to work, right away, we never went on welfare. We never got any government subsidies right away.
We just started working.
Yeah, my dad worked he mopped floors in the hospital to begin with, just to get a job.
Yeah.
And my mom was like an assistant cook at the other hospital, just chopping up vegetables. Just so we could, make a living.
Yeah.
But anyway, and we ended up doing well. The only thing my dad ever said to us is, we made this huge sacrifice for you 5 kids to move here.
Right.
Now, this is the only thing we require of you. You're going to work your butt off and go to school and go to college. I want you to do better than anybody else because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Who knows? We'd be dead now if we were in Lebanon with all the wars and everything.
I wanted to ask you, though. So you're in 8th grade. I mean, are you selectively remembering how strong you were, or were you really a strong kid like that? Because when you just said, I'm going to go back and those kids aren't going to call me pretty ugly anymore. Yeah. Were you that strong of a child?
I think my parents really enforced that in us. My dad used to say, that sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Right.
And he was like, you have to be better, you have to be smarter, he's like, you're a guest here. Until you become an American citizen.
Right.
And he goes, you're going to be the best guest. You're going to learn. You're going to become an American.
Wow.
Here's another funny story. My dad was a huge influence. My dad was very smart. Even though he didn't speak English, he taught himself how to read the New York Times.
Wow.
And one of the first things my dad did is he's like, what's big here? Like, what do people get entertained with? And they said football. And he's like, okay, so he starts watching football. He doesn't understand it. But then one day he watches the Dallas Cowboys, and he hears the guy calling them America's team. Remember back when it was Tom Landry?
Oh, yeah.
And so my dad becomes obsessed with football and made us all watch football because that's how we were going to become Americans.
Okay.
Because it was Cowboys.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So he was like, you love Lebanon where you were born, but your commitment, your loyalty, everything is to America.
Right.
And as soon as we could become citizens, all of us are standing there swearing allegiance. And
right.
So it was about coming here, being grateful for the opportunity the country has given you, and working your butt off to prove yourself.
Right.
So it was like, you can't be a victim. That was my dad. You can't be a victim. If I came home crying because kids made fun of me, it's okay, Michelle. You're going to prove them wrong. You're going to be...
Wow, that had to be, you have to be very grateful for that. And did you distill that? You have children?
Yes.
Did you distill that in your children?
Yes.
Wow.
I always say, so my mom dropped out of 3rd grade. in Lebanon because
Yeah.
women didn't have much value at school,
Sure.
especially in my mom's generation.
Yeah.
So she drops out in third grade. My daughter graduates top of the class at Georgetown and UCLA.
Oh, wow.
So the difference between my mom and my daughter is me coming to America.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
And the values that they distilled.
And the values that
Yes.
they instilled in us
Instilled
that we
in you,
passed
yeah.
on.
They didn't distill
Yeah.
it.
Instill.
I do a lot of distilling.
Maybe distill
yeah,
too.
Yeah. Well, that is amazing story, and just how you got here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very. We're so lucky. We're very blessed. Every time I look at the news, I'm like, oh, thank you, God. You know, I
Yeah.
get down on the ground and I kiss the ground, like, oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
I mean, it's we take it for granted for sure. You
Yes.
see, I mean, you've seen that everywhere, and
Yeah.
your whole life, and you're like, not me. Huh.
Yeah.
That is
Well,
awesome.
And you learn the difference. I mean, when I was growing up in Lebanon, it was beautiful, idyllic, and all that, but you had no rights. So the government controlled everything, ruled everything. There were, militias, and I mean, there was. So at least in America, you have individual freedom. You have the right to your religion. You have the right to your speech. To some extent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is still the best country on earth, and I've traveled all over the world, and this is still the best country.
All right, so you're in 8th grade. Where are we going to next?
So I do high school, and this is one thing I'm really proud of. By the time I graduated high school, I got the highest honors in English. I was the English student of the high school.
That is amazing.
And it was because I really worked on learning my English. Yeah.
Right.
So I graduated, and then I got accepted into Rutgers University.
Oh,
I
wow.
was the first one in my family to ever go to college.
Wow.
I went on a scholarship.
Wow.
Got a bachelor's degree in business administration
Wow.
with a minor in languages. So by that point, I was speaking Arabic, French, English, and I picked up Spanish in college and ran with it.
Okay.
So at that, when I was in college, I wanted to be a UN interpreter.
Really?
But I shadowed someone. I went to the UN, and I was like,
not for you.
There's like too much backstabbing, politics.
Sure.
So I was like, I'm going to stick with business.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
So after college, I got recruited by a company called United States Lines.
Yeah.
And they were a steamship company worldwide, shipping containers.
Sure.
And they hired me because I had business skills, but I also had language skills.
Right.
And I really enjoyed my work there. I worked there probably through my first marriage and after I had my first daughter. So I worked there probably 6-7 years.
Okay.
And I moved up pretty quickly with them, traveled around the world with them, became a corporate trainer.
Oh, wow.
Went to Europe and did training, went throughout the United States and did training.
Huh.
Yeah. So, that was a lot of fun. So that was my corporate experience, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long? So you were in the corporate world for 7-8 years?
Yeah. Right after college, so 21 to 27, 6
Okay.
years, let's say. Yeah.
Then fast forward, how'd you get to being in accounting?
Yeah, or bookkeeping.
Bookkeeping.
Yeah. So because I was a business administration manager.
Yeah.
And with corporate, I started out as a big admin manager of a huge department that included accounting and all that.
Sure.
And then, now personally speaking, I had gotten married at 23, and I was working.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
when I had my daughter in 1986, my first child, I didn't want to go back to work.
Sure.
I was like, I can't. And they offered me a bunch of money then to go back. But
Right.
it required traveling, long days.
Yeah, and you have a strong parenting,
And I was like, that's it. I know what I got to do.
Yeah.
So I started working. I stayed home with Amanda, and my husband at the time, her dad, was supporting us, but I wanted to still make money.
Right.
So one of our friends was a tax accountant, and he's like, come work with me during tax season, at night when Amanda's sleeping, or just set your own hours when your husband can be home and you can come. So I started doing that. I started doing, working on tax returns and stuff like that part-time, especially during tax season.
Yeah.
And then I had my second child, Justin. They're only 15 months apart. So,
Okay.
And I was still doing that, part-time. And because when we moved to America, I took care of my parents' business right away. Meaning I took care of all the bills. I wrote the checks.
Right.
Because they didn't speak English.
Right.
I went to all the doctor's appointments. Then my brother started wanting to invest in real estate, and I did all the work for that too. So I was already I think I was born to be this administrative bookkeeping, whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, I started doing that. Now, when the kids were 3 and 2, we decided to move to Arizona.
Oh, okay.
So
That's
this
how you
at
got
the
here.
time, my husband at the time, and me, and the 2 kids, my mom, my dad, my brother, and sister.
You all moved.
We all moved.
You're a package deal.
We were a package deal, and a couple of years later, the rest of the sisters followed.
Okay.
So I told you I'm one of 5.
Yep.
So the other 3 sisters followed suit.
Okay.
Married, single, whatever, they all moved. Now we all live in Arizona.
Oh,
we
nice.
kind of felt like, well, we all moved together from Lebanon to New Jersey. Now we're all going to move together from New Jersey.
Yeah, that had to be hard when you were apart.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
for the 3 sisters left behind. Yeah.
They were only there 2 years, and they were coming out all the time. But
Sure.
we had this tribe. We're a tribe.
Yeah.
So,
oh, absolutely.
yeah. So that
I
really,
can see that.
that really worked.
Huh.
So anyway, when we moved to Arizona, and I had been unemployed, working little jobs here and there to raise the kids, my parents and my brother and I decided we're going to go into business together.
Okay.
And we're going to buy anything, any business. It didn't matter.
Sure.
As long as it had real estate, because we wanted to own the real estate.
Yep.
That was the only. And my brother had worked at a liquor store in New Jersey in college.
Yep.
So he had some liquor experience.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is, Shars Has the Blues becomes available for sale.
Yeah.
Okay. My parents, again, speak no English, have no idea what a bar atmosphere is, what a music club is.
Right.
So my
Right.
brother and I end up running it.
Okay.
My brother runs it during the day. I come at night because my kids, I've spent the whole day with the kids.
Right.
I come down 3 nights a week and run it. We hired managers. And it was the funniest thing ever because despite our, not even our stupidity, our just naivete, we didn't know anything.
Right.
We made it work, and it made a lot of money, and it was a lot of fun. And so Shars Has the Blues was just a fun experience in my life.
Huh.
From 1989 till 1995, 6 years of taking this club that became the #1 blues club in Arizona.
Oh, wow.
Meeting all these blues bands, and just
That is
it
awesome.
was just a crazy thing. So my brother and I got this crazy idea that we should have a Phoenix Blues Festival. So we put on the first ever Phoenix Blues Festival in the early 90s
Oh, wow.
in downtown Phoenix at Patriot Square. It was a huge success.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of work though too.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Festivals are just,
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
we met really interesting musicians.
Yeah.
We,
well, you're an organizer. I mean,
Yes.
basically you're the rock of the business that keeps everything, and I assume your brother's kind of a dreamer.
he is the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
He sees the big picture.
He sees the big picture, and you're like, okay, I'm the guy. I'm
the
the
one
woman
that
that's going
followed
to get
behind
done.
him
Yep.
and picked up all the. I see the trees. He sees the forest.
Yeah.
That's how. And
Great
the good thing is,
relationship.
my brother and I have been partners for over 40 years,
Wow.
and it works really strangely because again we're such opposites.
Yep.
So he does the big stuff. He sees he invests in the big things, and I come in as his bookkeeper and maintain the books and
Yep.
make sure our taxes are paid, our payroll is met, and all that is done.
Yeah.
And he doesn't interfere with me. I don't interfere with him. He's usually the big majority owner. I get a 10% piece of the business, usually,
Right.
until recently when I said, no, I don't want anymore. I want to retire. And, the world has become so much more complicated. There's so much litigation. And I was like, I don't want to be,
Yeah.
So anyway, though, that's why it worked. And our rule is when we're at work, we don't talk about family.
Yep.
And when we're with family, we don't talk about work.
Yeah.
And we've had this relationship for 40 years. And we just went out to dinner with Ron and my brother's wife. We talk personal the whole time.
Right.
And there's stuff happening business-wise that.
Oh, yeah, right on your phone probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't talk about
You
it.
don't talk about it, and that's what's made it successful.
Well, that is awesome.
Yeah.
So, what are you doing currently?
So
for
anyway,
business?
so we had Shars Has the Blues. Then we owned a bunch of other different restaurants.
Sure.
We AJ's Sports Bar, Ralphie's Pizzeria on 59th Avenue and Greenway.
Always owning the real estate?
Yeah, all Arizona, always owning the real estate.
Okay.
That was
your thing.
Yeah. And then in 2017, we bought, so we had Shars Has the Blues, then we bought the Melody Lounge, which was in Tempe.
Yeah.
And then we're like, we want to get out of the music business because it's late nights. You have to deal with a lot of egos with musicians.
Right.
They're artists. And So we decided it's time to get out of that.
Yep.
So in 2017, he bought the Horny Toad.
The Horny Toad,
Up in Cave Creek.
Yep, I know it.
And he asked me if I wanted to go in. I said, no, I don't want to be an owner, but I'll work for you and just give me profit if we have profits. So, but I don't want to be on the books.
Just do some profit sharing and be out the
Yeah,
books.
I want to be an independent contractor because, and I had done that at some point. I worked for this company called CPA for Hire, and I had gone to different businesses and did their bookkeeping.
Sure.
So I said, I don't need to do that. I'll do it for you, exclusively. And he owned he owns some real estate with some buildings and stuff. So I said, I'll take care of all that for you.
Yeah.
And just pay me like an independent contractor. So,
Right.
So in 2017, we started that partnership.
Okay.
And it's been great. The Horny Toad is an Arizona institution. It's been around forever.
Yeah. When did he buy that?
2017.
2017.
So
about
it's
that.
been 8 years. Yeah.
And he likes it?
Loved it.
I drove by there on Bike Week, and
Yeah.
I gave up motorcycles years ago because of cell phones, basically. But so I still have a Jeep with my top off, and I drove through there. I cannot believe how that Cave Creek just the people that are there for that event. I mean, motorcycles everywhere. In your parking lot, it was all tents.
Yes.
I mean, I'm just like, how much money are they making this weekend?
Yeah, they made good money. That's kind of like our rock star weekend.
I bet.
That week was a rock star week. Yeah. So he's done very well. I mean, again, my brother has the vision. He has this vision. So interestingly enough, and it was in the news a couple of days ago, there was a shooting in Glendale. I don't know if you heard it.
No.
And actually it made CNN, where 3 people were killed and 5 people were injured. And
Okay.
It happened, this is the crazy part, it happened at a restaurant and property that my brother owned up until last year.
Oh, really?
So the success of the Horny Toad made us want to expand.
Yeah.
So we bought a property in Glendale, in Old Town Glendale. You know that area, 59th Avenue in Glendale, that area.
Yep.
We bought a place, it was called the Desert Rose, a huge property. And we turned it into the Horny Toad Glendale.
Okay.
So we brought the concept, and we tried it. We tried it for about 1.5 to 2 years.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, a lot of the pickleball people went down there. I invited them.
Sure.
We had a party on the patio.
Yeah.
For all the pickleball people to come down to Glendale.
Yeah.
You know, for one
Promote
of our
your
grand
business.
openings.
Yeah.
Well, so my brother just saw what's going on downtown Glendale. The socioeconomic, the demographics were changing. It wasn't as safe as we thought it should be.
Sure.
And the concept wasn't working there.
Yeah.
So he sold it last year to this investor from California.
Yeah.
And he got really good money on the real estate part.
Sure.
He doubled his money that way.
Yeah.
And so the guy from California just leased it to a family to run as a restaurant. The family had a Cinco de Mayo party Sunday night.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And it got out of control.
And
3 people were killed, 5 people were injured.
Oh,
and that's
man.
a huge, liability speak. First of all, it's a tragic, tragic loss of life.
Yeah.
But from a business liability, that owner of the land, the restaurant people, I just pray they have really good insurance, because that's horrible.
It's horrible. Yeah. It's amazing how a neighborhood can go bad, and I mean go bad by. I used to walk downtown Minneapolis in the evening. I used to have a condo in downtown, and I would walk home. And when I met my wife Kirsten, I was like, I really love being down. She goes, I don't feel safe going outside, and I'm like. And then you start looking around. Oh, you probably wouldn't as a woman.
Yeah.
And I mean, because
she's a beautiful woman too.
And,
you don't want anyone.
let's not go there. But yeah, it's amazing how you used to feel so safe, and now you don't. It's sad, but.
And I know. See, I've been in Arizona since '89. I used to take my little kids down to downtown Glendale. Do Glendale glitters and do all this activities, and felt really safe. But it's not that anymore.
No,
just
it's not.
The demographics change, whatever gentrification, whatever you want to call it, it changes, and then all of a sudden, it's not the place you think it is.
Yeah, it's you got to feel safe.
Yeah.
So
anyway, so I've done that now. The news is I'm retiring May 31st. So
awesome.
This is my last month.
What's he gonna do without you? He's gonna be lost.
I don't know. It's gonna be okay. I'm gonna still take care of him personally and his other real estate stuff.
Sure.
I'm just not gonna be in charge of taxes and what do you call it, payroll, and just billings and all that. I'm just not gonna run the restaurant.
Right.
I am training someone right now to take my place, and
Okay.
she's good, and she's going to do really well.
Sure.
But it's just not. It's not going to be the same relationship. And
No.
this is the first time in 40 years that my brother's also considering. Is it time for me to?
Yeah.
Hang it up or?
Yeah, I guess for him it's probably. Does he really enjoy it as much as the chase?
Well,
because I'm sure he
likes
doesn't.
The chase. My brother's gotten a real estate license. He's someone that.
Yeah,
he
he always has to be on the go.
Make it better, sell it.
Yeah.
Buy, make it better, sell it. Never
That's
get that
awesome.
invested in it,
Right.
So he's done very well. My brother's done very well, and of course I've benefited from that. But I've been a really loyal soldier to him too.
Yeah. Well,
so we've had a great run.
I'm sure you taught him English.
Yeah. I'd remind him that I took care of him when the kids were beating him up on our street. Again, because we moved with my aunt and uncle who lived in a nice area in New Jersey. We just didn't fit in. We looked different. I don't know if. People would come and write horrible things in our driveway. Just call us the N-word. And I remember this big bully on our block was trying to beat up my brother, and I ran over there and started punching the bully.
Did you? Oh, I believe that. I really believe that.
Yeah, I took care of my brother, and he's taking care of me.
So, all right, let's skip ahead because we're gonna be running out of time, and I do want at least one Ron story. How did you meet Ron?
Okay,
how'd that come about?
All right, so I met my first husband at Rutgers. We were both immigrants. He had immigrated from Cuba at 13. I had immigrated from Lebanon at 13.
Sure.
So we thought it was a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
Both young, got married, had 2 beautiful children who are my children today. And 9 years later, my son fell out of a second-story window, almost died, had traumatic brain injury here at Phoenix Children's Hospital. But to make a long story short, that really broke up our marriage. We were having issues anyway.
Yeah,
we didn't grow up together, and that was just...
Yeah.
So after I got divorced, I was a single mom for 4 years. And then I met what I thought was the love of my life, and I was going to be married forever. And he was the love of my life, and he was my soulmate. And we were together 20 years. But he dropped dead of a major heart attack at the age of 55. So he helped me raise my kids.
Yeah.
They called him, he was their dad. It was just an amazing story.
Yeah.
Best memories ever. Greatest love.
Yeah.
All that. So Randy, his name is Randy McGee, which I still have his last name.
Yep.
I haven't. Yeah. So when Randy died in 2010, I was 50 years old.
Yep.
And I was like, all right, that's it. I've had a run. I had a second marriage, great time.
Yep.
No, I'm done. I've had it.
Yeah.
But the kids were like, Mom,
you still got life in you.
You're a pain
Come
in
on.
the butt, Mom. I was like, because my kids were everything. Amanda and Justin have always been everything to me. They're like, Mom, you need to get a life.
Right.
And so my son and my daughter, kind of behind my back with my daughter-in-law and my son-in-law, because both my kids at that point were married or in relationships to be married.
Yeah.
My daughter got married in 2012. But anyway, they signed me up on eHarmony.
Oh, didn't they?
This was like 2 years after I was a widow for 2 years, but not,
Sure.
So I tried. I have a record. I wrote it down. I went on 27 one dates first date.
Sure.
I'd meet these people at Starbucks for coffee. I had a list of things I was looking for. And they'd either run away scared, saying, oh my God, this lady's crazy.
Right.
Or they were too weird for me.
Yeah.
So I was like,
here's
my rules. You can't be a drunk. You can't be, you got to have some money. I just don't want
you. You got to have your own money. Yeah. I'm not looking for a sugar daddy. I'm looking for you to be responsible. Yeah.
So my joke is, and I didn't succeed on eHarmony.
Okay.
27 first dates later, I said, man, this is not for me. My daughter's best friend, who was in her wedding, like a maid of honor.
Yep.
Her mom was dating this guy, and Ron was his best buddy.
Okay.
And so Helen calls me up one day in November, and she's like, hey, I got this guy. He's from New York. He's Catholic like you, because I was Catholic at the time. Catholic from New York, immigrant parents. I think guys would have a lot in common. I want to introduce you. So I was like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. So that was November. We don't meet until May because I'm just busy. So May 11th we meet, and this May 11th, on Mother's Day, this May, it'll be 12 years that we went on our first date. Helen set up a kayaking trip down the Salt River, and a few of us went, and I met Ron that way.
Okay.
And when I met Ron, he was 65, 64. I was 53. Yeah, 64, 53, because he's 11 years older than me. Had never been married. Had never lived with a woman more than maybe 7 months in his 20s. Was done.
Wow. He just, really?
And so, we start talking. I was like, listen, let's just be friends, because I've done this dating thing, and it doesn't work.
Right, yeah.
So we were friends, and one day we went up to hike, and we had a lot in common. We loved hiking. We loved, loved outdoor activities. We liked reading,
Right.
So we had very similar values because we were both from New Jersey, New York.
Yep.
He had immigrant Italian parents. I had immigrant Lebanese parents,
Yeah.
So we go up to hike Thumb Butte in Prescott.
Yes, I know it.
Yeah.
That's steep.
Right.
It's straight up.
Yeah. So we do that. We come down. I packed a little lunch.
Yeah.
So he always says I got to him through his stomach. I packed a little lunch. We sat there to have a picnic. And he's like, Michelle, like, how do we take this to the next level? It's good we're friends, but, is there any,
I'm looking for a little more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I whip out my list.
You had your list handy?
I always had my list in my purse.
Oh, right. Okay.
This is what I want. If you can meet 7 out of the 10 requirements here, you're in.
You're in.
And he did.
And did he go through the list and laugh? Or
Yeah. He didn't run away, so that was a good thing.
Right.
Because, it's weird to tell people right up front, I'm serious. I want to get married. I don't want to,
Right.
I don't want to shack up. I don't want to hook up. That's not who I am.
Yeah.
I believe in
You're
the
looking for a
institution of
relationship.
marriage. I believe in that.
And he was all in.
And, he said, to be honest, he said to me, well, I've never said I'm never getting married, but it's never worked out for me.
Right.
So that's what he said. He goes,
Yeah.
so I'm going to give it a try.
Yeah.
So we date for a couple of years, and then nothing is happening. So
Right.
one day, we enjoyed Prescott so much, we ended up buying a summer house right underneath Thumb Butte as a second home.
Oh, really?
We did it as
beautiful
partners.
area.
We weren't married. We just did it
Yep.
as partners.
Yep.
And one day on the way up to Prescott in 2016, as he's driving,
Yeah.
and I said, Ron, you're going to have to shit or get off the pot. He's like, what? I go, I'm going to get married. I told you that from day one. I didn't fool around.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you. I didn't lie, because a lot of women will say, oh, I don't care about marriage. We're deep
Right.
down. I
Right.
said, I was honest with you. Now you have to be honest with me.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're putting pressure on me. This is an ultimatum. I'm like, no, it's not an ultimatum. Because if you say no, it's okay. I'll go move forward. I'm going to keep looking.
Right.
We'll be friends. I'll always love you. But yeah, I know what I want, and you're not
Yeah.
giving it to me. So 15 minutes later, he's like, okay, let's get married.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. So he says I proposed to him, which is kind of true.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I would see it that way. I mean, I really like you two as a couple. I sat next to you at one event,
Yeah.
and it was just kind of fun to watch. It seems like, and I feel the same way with Kirsten, like we've been together forever, because we can annoy each other and ignore it at the same time.
All the
And it's
time.
you have to have that gift. So we're at the end of the podcast. So I want to ask, what brought you to Westbrook, and what do you love about Westbrook?
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So to wrap it up.
Yeah.
So Ron, after I met Ron,
Yep.
I realized he was playing tennis at Paseo.
Yeah.
And in Prescott, we started to learn pickleball a little bit, and then we bought a place in Rocky Point that had pickleball courts, and we really started playing a lot of pickleball.
Yeah.
So from Paseo, he had met 3 guys that live at Westbrook that were part of the tennis club, so they started inviting him to Westbrook to come play tennis.
Yeah.
And one day, we just looked at each other, and we're like, we're driving 6 times a week to Westbrook to either play pickleball or tennis.
Right.
And what happened is I made some friends on the pickleball court here.
Yeah.
And I would buy guest passes, and I
Yeah.
would say, hey, I want to come and play, because you have to be
Right.
So I was like, I'm tired of doing that.
Yeah.
And he was, I said, let's buy.
Yeah.
So we started looking in January of 2023.
Okay.
The market was really tight.
Yeah.
People were outbidding us left and right.
Sure.
So we start in January. We don't find a place until June. We close in June 30th. And it really wasn't the floor plan I wanted, but it was like, okay, at least we found a house that has 3-car garages and it's on the golf course.
Yeah.
Those are 2 requirements.
Yep, that was mine too.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we had to live, the people we bought from, he had just put his wife in assisted living.
Sure.
And he was building his own apartment there. So it wasn't going to be ready until August 30th. So we let him live there for free. And they were very nice about it.
Yeah.
But we just wanted to grab the house.
Yeah, get it off the market.
He moves out end of August. We start gutting it September 1st.
Sure.
And it took until the end of November of 2023 we moved in.
Okay.
But we created, so we kept our other house, and we created the house we wanted.
Yeah.
With the floor plan we want. And we love it. It's been.
What do you like best about Westbrook?
Well, I feel like it's going to improve and prolong our life.
Yeah.
Because it keeps
you're
us
active.
busy.
You're always out either playing pickleball or walking.
Yeah.
And I walk to recover from pickleball.
Yeah.
Because
and I
it's
started
tough on your
having hip
body.
issues because I was playing pickleball every day.
Yeah.
So I went and got an MRI, and the guy's like, your hip is okay. You're just overdoing it.
Yeah.
And pickleball especially is very hard on,
Yeah.
on those lateral movements. It's very rough.
Right.
Because you should run, you stop.
Yep.
So he's like, you need to just go every other day.
Right.
And it's really has worked a lot. So I'm either
Good.
hiking or biking or swimming or doing something
And
different.
Ron's as active as you are.
Very active.
Yeah.
So that we have that in common anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm probably more social. He's less social, but it kind of Westbrook, creates a phenomenon where you can be as social as you want,
Right.
or as little,
in the same household.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love playing pickleball with Ron, but man, it's tough to get him to smile. And I'm kind of an addict on the pickleball courts because I like to talk a little bit.
Yeah.
And
You'd
give
like
people
to
a
have
hard
fun.
time. And
Well, he's a competitive player.
he's like, you just play. Don't let it.
He's a
let's go.
competitive.
Yeah.
That's how he is.
Yeah.
But again, that's why I think our personalities match really well, because I'm more like, I'm a goofball. I'm like,
Yeah.
laugh. I look
I am
funny
too.
sometimes when I play. I don't care.
No.
Like, I just
Good.
want to have fun.
Yeah.
And meet friends. We've met a lot of nice people, a lot of nice friends. I mean, that's one thing I can say about Westbrook. It's got the nicest people with the most
I
interesting
agree
stories.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you coming in and doing the interview.
Yeah, thank you for
Did you have a
having
good
me.
time?
Yes,
Yeah, I
easy.
thought it was fun.
You
Yeah,
you get to talk about yourself. How
yeah,
could you?
yeah, and you have a great story. So
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve.
You have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Meet Your Neighbor podcast. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And feel free to share this podcast with your friends and fellow neighbors. Until next time, take care and keep connecting.